at Juabing in Ashanti, killing 3 and injuring many others.
Officials from Land's Ministry on unannounced visit to Pantine Hospital to assess extent of encroachment.
T.I. Ahmadiyya Basic School in Dunkwa in Central Region closed temporarily due to flooding.
And a holistic go-ahead for malaria vaccine to protect African children. You're live on GBC News, and it's time for news. Hello, good evening. Siyokwo Kwakutre.
My name is Shirley Annan. Jonathan Intindako translates the news into sign language.
The news headlines was brought to you by Munchie Biscuit. Munch into happiness.
A man who was shot by armed robbers on his way back to his car from the bank in Cape Coast is receiving treatment in hospital, where he's said to be in a stable condition.
Our regional correspondent Kingsley Nana Buedu told us earlier that the robbers remain at large as officials begin a manhunt for the criminals. He spoke to officials of the Cape Coast Station Hospital.
You can see that the movement is out of danger. Fortunately, the police didn't touch any part of the ball. And so we just do a few accidents, and then it will probably be the platform. We realized that we lost a few plants, and so we're taking it out. We are doing cross marching. We are also taking it safely to there's a new we will give some back before we go.
Some parts of Dunkwa Onofin in the central region have experienced flooding after a downpour, causing loss of lives and property. The T.I. Ahmadiyya Basic School, located at Accra Town, a suburb of Dunkwa Onofin in the Upper Dentra East municipality, which was affected by the floods, have also been forced to close down.
Hours of torrential rains flooded most parts of Dunkwa Onofin. Areas affected included Sofukrom, Accra Town and Barrier. The head teacher of T.I. Ahmadiyya Basic School, Mr. Samuel Ibusikwansa, said the municipal director for education, Upper Dentra East, had to shut down the school to protect the life of the pupils. He appealed to the government to, as a matter of urgency, complete the abandoned Get Fund project, which was started in 2017. He partly blamed the flooding on the activities of illegal miners, which he says has silted the Ofin River. He asked the authorities to dredge the river.
And it is a natural disaster. It is an activity of certain individuals that the Galamseyers, they have make all these things happen. If you look up north there, the waters, some can go there, but because the place has been blocked, the water cannot have access to go into the Paraba. That's why it is coming here to people have to evacuate from their residency.
The director of NADMO for the Upper Dentra East Municipality, Mr. Alhassan Yakubu, urged people staying in flood-prone areas to take safety precautions seriously during the rainy season.
Whenever it starts raining, people gather their refuse and then dump them into refuse into drains. And then others also empty their septic tank into the drains. I would like to plead to the general public that whenever it happens that way, it normally brings about disease. So I will let each and everyone to be on the alert. We don't want such thing to happen in the municipality.
Meanwhile, the Upper Dentra East Municipal Environmental Officer, Mr. Andrews Asariafari, has urged people in the municipality to avoid dumping waste into the drains.
A final year student of St. Andrews Senior High School in Dunkwao on Ofin in the Central Region, Master Bismarck Adakwa, has drowned in an abandoned galamsey pit at Abesua suburb of Dunkwao Ofin in the Upper Dentra East Municipality. The Assembly member of Abesua Compound Electoral Area, Mr. Edmund Johnson, expressed shock at the incident. He said the deceased Bismarck Adakwa was on an errand to collect money from his uncle when he unfortunately got drowned in the abandoned galamsey pit. The municipal director of National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, Upper Dentra East, Mr. Al-Hassan Yakubu, said NADMO, together with Ghana National Service and the help of some community members, have retrieved the lifeless body of Master Adakwa and deposited at the Dunkwao Government Hospital. He called on the Assembly as a matter of urgency to cover the abandoned galamsey pit in the area.
President Akufo-Addo has extended the leave of absence from office for the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Ms. Sarah Adwoa. The leave for the MP for Domkwabenya was to have ended on August 31, 2021. A statement from the Communications Directorate of the Presidency said the minister sought leave of absence for personal reasons, and in the absence and until further notice, the President has directed the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Mrs. Cecilia Dapa, to act as caretaker minister for the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection.
You're still watching News Live on GBC News. We take a short break. Please stay on.
It's GTP,
the name behind authentic and original Ghanaian textile prints,
and West Africa's leading print and textile brand.
Step out in style in any GTP fabric.
Classy, head-turning, elegant, snazzy.
GBC newscasters are cloaked by GTP.
The outfits are designed by Joanna Fashions, Nyaniba Estates, B Vogue and Designs, Kaswa,
and Alan David Collections, Havana in Accra.
It has been reported officially that mineral resources have been discovered in commercial quantities up north, and so have illegal miners moved in a wild rush to begin mining activities at Nanguma, an area in Mamprugu in the northeast region. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Jinapo, has condemned the acts and called for support from the people to help rid the place of the menace before any further destruction. Mr. Jinapo was speaking at a meeting with the overlord of Mamprugu, Naboigu Abdullah Mahamishariga. Clara Mlano reports.
The visit to the palace of the Nayere was the second day of the minister's tour to assess work in the land, forestry and mine sectors in the 5 regions of the north. Mr. Samuel Jinapo said the news of the discovery of gold in the northern part of Ghana in substantial quantity was good. It has the potential of boosting the economic fortunes of the regions if used properly. He asked the chiefs and the people to be at the forefront of the galamsey fight for their own benefit.
Nanguma has become notorious for illegal small-scale mining. It's important that we work together to regulate this sector and ensure that what is happening in the south does not happen in the north. So that at the very outset, we halt the incidences of illegal small-scale mining in the north. The black voter is right here, the white voter is here. These water bodies have to be protected, and the effort we will make and work together to ensure that mining is done in this part of the country in a regulated, responsible approach.
The overlord of Mamprugu, Nambohigu Abdullahi Mahama Sheriga, said the operations of illegal miners at Nanguma is depriving the people of their livelihoods and destroying their farmlands. The overlord commended Mr. Jinapo for the progress chalked up so far, promising support from them for success. The sector minister says the government is putting in place the framework to begin the exploitation of the mineral resources discovered in the 5 regions of the north, particularly in the Nanguma community. For GBC News, Clara Mlano reporting.
Still in news, 3 persons working at the Jabing Oil Mills Limited in the Ashanti region died when a boiler in the facility's production line exploded. 2 of the dead, whose names are yet to be made public by management of the oil mills, were said to have been on industrial attachment at the facility. The 3rd person, Mr. Francis Champong, was an employee of the mills.
Developers on the encroached lands of the Pantan Hospital have defied orders to remove their structures nearly 3 months after a directive by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Officials from the ministry on Wednesday visited the hospital to assess the extent of encroachment as government steps up effort to recover the lands for the hospital and the National Orthopedic Center.
Is the Pantan Infectious Disease Center, where COVID-19 patients are being treated. It sits on the Pantan Hospital land, which has been at the center of encroachment issues since 2008. Just few meters away from the center, developers have erected structures exposing themselves and the prospective occupants to health risk. It is common across the fringes of the hospital as the Langkwantanan Madina Municipal Assembly continues to issue building permits for development on government land. The hospital has since lost about 8 acres from its original allotted land and now battling developers to secure the remaining 12 acres. The hospital staff suspended operations in late June in an attempt to get the encroached land secured. Although the Ministry of Health has started fencing the hospital to protect the lands, the encroachment has not stopped.
I would say the assembly itself too has, that is the local assembly, has also checked its responsibility by not ensuring that these people were not given building permits and also stopping them from carrying on with whatever they are doing. We are going to engage the Ministry of Health and then also the traditional authorities, because we have to let the traditional authorities know that the process of paying compensation for the remaining land is far advanced and that soon they will be getting their compensation. And as such, we are praying that they stay their hands from further encroachment.
Management of the hospital are again pleading with the ministry to recover the encroached lands to ensure their security.
There has been a lot of correspondence to make sure that government lands are protected and also to make sure that there is good security for staff and for clients who patronize our services.
The hospital is troubled about the pace of the encroachment, which it said will undermine future expansion works. But more worrying to the management is the threat to public health.
Many women in our parts of the world still suffer abusive acts committed either by relatives or their spouses. Many of such violent acts could be in the form of child or spousal abuse. In the following report, Peter Agengere from the Upper East region tells us how women who give birth to only girls are treated in his part of the country. This is part of our October series, where the public sends reports from their localities in what we term citizen journalists.
In some communities, a woman is blamed and maltreated when there is no child after years of marriage. The birth of a boy is usually cause for celebration in some cultures, but the birth of a girl child is generally seen as a burden. Some women in this part of the country are abused if they fail to give birth to boys. And this is just the latest in a series of high-profile crimes against women in the country. Few months back, I came across this young woman from the Northern District who, according to her, is facing several forms of abuse from her husband because she has given birth to only girls. Monica and her husband have been married for 15 years. The first 3 years of the marriage were passionate, according to her, but things started turning sour when she had her second child, another girl. Monica and her husband currently have 4 children, all girls. Instead of being celebrated and loved, she's rather facing dejection. Her husband barely spends time with her. Her husband now spends more time with another woman outside their marital home, rather than his legally married wife.
Anytime I visit the market, my rival will report me to my husband that I didn't greet her when I saw her. My husband will also beat me up and ask why I went to the market. The painful thing is that he is accusing me of not doing enough to give him a male child. He even beats up the girls anytime he sees us together.
At a point in our conversation, Monica opens up and told me her story. She recollected how her husband threatened to send her packing because he was no longer interested in her since she hasn't born a male child. At this point, she could not hold back her tears and broke down.
It came to a time he told me he was no longer interested in me. He asked what my use here is when I am not giving him a male child. My brothers also asked him to follow the same procedures he used and got married to me, so that he can ask for the divorce he's seeking to do.
Now Monica is very worried because her...
Still in the news, 78-year-old Victoria Abrabansa, who hails from Vani Avertime in the Biapa, Amejopa traditional area, is reported missing. Victoria Bansa left home to attend a funeral at a nearby town, Vani. On reaching the funeral grounds, she was allocated a room in the family house where she put her belongings. She stepped out later in the day but did not return. The family is appealing to anyone with information on her whereabouts to report to the nearest police station at Amejopa, Ho, and its surrounding areas. They can also contact the family on 0245 776 556 or 0247 543 462 or 0242 027 411. They can also contact Banki Bansa on 0247 543 462 or Elizabeth Bansa on 0242 027 411. We'll do some more stories when we come back. Please stay.
To our centenary has been amazingly worthy. Azar Group is 100 years and continues to achieve greatness.
Main brands which were in the company are Azaltex, which is an emulsion paint, texture paints, which we were the first people to produce in Ghana, and Azar Gloss, which is oil paint. So we were the first people to
For the business segment brought to you by MTN Everywhere You Go, and I am Owusu-Agyeman. The Financial Intelligence Center, FIC, has been tasked to take prudent steps to strengthen the country's anti-money laundering regimes. This will ensure that the country does not return to the Financial Action Task Force list. The Finance Minister, Mr. Kenoforiata, said this in a speech read on his behalf by a Deputy Minister for Finance, Mrs. Abena Osei-Asari, at the inauguration of the FIC board here in Accra.
Ghana escaped a Financial Action Task Force blacklist after the task force detected some deficiencies in the country's anti-money laundering regimes in 2019. The country was eventually taken off the list following strict adherence to an action plan with timelines from 2019 to 2021. According to the Finance Ministry, the meeting of the FATF action plan, which led to the country being taken off the grey list, has revived confidence in the economy.
I wish to recall the adverse effects of the grey list on our economy. By dint of hard work and with support of other stakeholders, including the Ministry of Finance, the FIC was able to complete the action plan even ahead of schedule, resulting in Ghana being taken off the grey list. This has revived the confidence in our economy, and Ghana has been placed on a high pedestal as far as anti-money laundering regime is concerned.
The Sector Ministry expects a newly inaugurated board to continue to work to sustain the gains made.
I admit that you are faced with some challenges, but I assure you of government's commitment and support. Government will continue to provide you with the needed resources to help you build upon the solid foundation that has been laid.
The 7-member board is chaired by the immediate past Executive Director of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, YOCO, and former Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service, COP Frank Edupoko, retired. The other members are former Director of the National Intelligence Bureau, Mr. Kwekudria, a Deputy Minister of Finance, Mr. John Kuma, Director Legal at the Ministry of National Security, Mr. Osei Dixon, and the Director General Intelligence of the Ghana Police Service, Mamiya Tiwa Adodankwa.
The 7th edition of Africa Engineering Week and 5th Africa Engineering Conference has opened in Accra. The conference has provided a platform for academics, engineering practitioners, industry players and students to meet and connect, share ideas and experiences to build knowledge and upscale.
The Ghana Institution of Engineering and the Federation of African Engineering Organization, World Federation of Engineering Organization, and UNESCO are the hosts of this year's Africa Engineering Week and Conference. Promoting engineering among students and complement STEM curriculum with practical engineering application is high on the agenda of the Accra Conference. The 4th African Women Engineers Forum and the Young Engineers Forum will also take place alongside this one. The president of the Ghana Institute of Engineering, Reverend Professor Charles Enum Adams, said engineering plays a vital role in addressing basic human needs, with a call on governments around the world to put in place systems that will attract young people to consider engineering as a vocation and a profession.
We must harness all the technologies that we need, including artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, big data, robotics, and what have you, to ensure that we put our continent in the right place as we advance toward the future.
Representatives from UNESCO and WFEO say it is important to note that despite the growing need for multi-talented engineers, there is a serious lack of engineering capacity in Africa. This is due to insufficient output from the higher learning and training institutions to meet the country's needs. The Minister for Trade and Industry, Mr. Alan Chemate, said the AFCFTA should inspire engineers on the continent to come out with innovative but simple products to bolster trade on the $1.2 billion market.
One of the successful outcomes of the first phase of the ACTA negotiations is the adoption of a protocol on trade in services. So it is clear that I do not need to preach to you as professionals about the role that you can play in the area of trade in services, not just trading goods.
Capacity building for trade, intellectual property, rights in engineering and trade facilitation are some of the topics engaging the attention of the participants. The conference, which runs from October 4 to 8, 2021, is themed Engineering, Inter-Africa Trade and the Sustainable Development Goals.
And that's it for the business segment, proudly brought to you by MTN everywhere you go. We have more news coming up. Please do stay.